Ooh.
All right.
Oh,
Nelson Peltz has done a town hall, Disney town hall. Nelson Peltz is the activist investor trying to make money off his investment with Disney. That's generally speaking what investors tend to do. Weird that they're called activist investors as a result of that. You think any investor would want a return on their investment. I understand there's a slight difference. They're seeking change, blah, 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 whatever. But anyway, he's done a town hall. I haven't watched it yet. I've been very, very busy making a substantial amount of videos. But I know Andre's seen it. Culture, you've seen certain bits and pieces as well. What were your general thoughts and feelings on it? And we've got some that we'll watch as well.
Yeah. Culture, do you want to go first?
sure. My overall impression was it was very well done. Unfortunately, it was a little bit too curated, I think was the word Andre used at some point earlier today. But I would agree with that. And say that it was curated in the way that it was kind of a prepared thing, much like a lot of these are. As far as the questions, though, the questions did come from investors, and they did seem quite genuine. And it does put, without saying anything specifically, and we have an example to play for you. I think that the fact that they were able to basically say we will move this away from woke bullshit without saying anything about woke or anything about intersectional wackadoodleness or any of that other stuff, it was very clear. They were very genuinely telling people without ruffling anybody's feathers that they were going to move Disney away from the politically destructive influences that are tearing their company apart and their culture apart. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I mean, I would have liked it to be a little bit more aggressive. It's not what I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be a presentation where we basically go through the gist of what is already in the extremely pedagogical white paper. That's what I thought it was going to be, and that then it was going to be a live Q&A session afterwards. Instead, what it was basically just go straight into the event. You have Rasulo and Peltz sitting in the chair being interviewed by a woman, and they go straight into the Q&A session where they answer pre-selected questions. Now, these are obviously very real questions. I would have liked to credit who sent those questions, but
they weren't identified. Yeah.
No, but anyway, and then obviously they were selective with the questions. But I think all in all, probably it was the right way to do it, because if it had been live, they would have gotten much more angry questions, angry people calling in, people who are angry not at them but angry at Disney.
Yeah.
And the whole thing would only have served to freak out Disney and the incumbent Iger-friendly shareholders even more. So instead, they chose questions like, "Are you going to fire Bob Iger?" To which the answer was no. He has always worked with CEOs before, even the ones that didn't want him there. And even Rasulo said, "I have nothing personal against Iger. I can perfectly work with him." So through the whole thing, they were very professional, and they answered all of the questions that shareholders really should be asking, not just from a shareholder point of view, but also from a Disney customer point of view. They addressed the concerns. Like, for instance, one asked, as a parent, I can no longer trust Disney programming. I can no longer just let them watch Disney Plus. I have to monitor everything there. They addressed this. They addressed the price gouging in the parks and everything.
Wow.
And that was the most important thing to me, because what they showed is that not only do they understand Disney from the point of view of shareholders and professional investors. We already know this from reading the white paper. What they showed here was a human face, and that they actually love the Disney brand, and that they too have families that enjoy going to the Disney parks And those experiences are no longer what they once were. And that's why they want to restore the magic. They want the audience to go there and be delighted. And they haven't been for a good long time. So basically, they want to, and this is a direct quote, they said this several times, and I'm sure that's going to trigger a lot of people, but it was no coincidence. They're going to make Disney great again.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. Well, Colchi, we've got the video essentially. Although I can't move that. Oh no, I can move that, can't I?
Yeah, you can. You should. That's why I did it that way. Yeah.
Did not know that. Right. Well, let's have a look. So 12:46. Nelson is asked why he loves Disney. So let's have a listen to this, shall we?
Contact from the Disney board.
This is a question for you, Nelson.
Okay.
Why do you love Disney?
I have 10 kids. Okay. Let's start there. And one of the greatest treats I could give to my kids, one of the great promises I would hold out if they did well in school or did well in their sports, was a trip to Disney. And I got to tell you, I enjoyed it myself. And because I love to see the smile on their faces, and it was great. The problem is, when I go to Disney, I said, historically, I'm seeing the same rides I saw when my 40-year-olds were 15, But I do love Disney, and it's part of America. Disney is America. It's so important, and we've got to give people what they want to see. When people go into a movie, they want to escape. You go into a movie theater or you turn on television, you've got an hour, hour and a half, you want to get lost. You don't want to hear about all of the issues of the day. That's your one place to escape.
Well, for me...
I mean, he's right, isn't there? Anything to add to that? I mean, that's bang on. It's basically saying woke, but without saying woke.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I mean, and again, they reiterate this at several different points in different ways. I love the way they approach the questions. Andre was spot on. They went about doing this without projecting any animosity, or doing anything antagonistic. It's bonkers. They do a great job. And again, I picked out 5 highlights to just go over. So they did a good job.
So this is about the parks.
No, we obviously wouldn't have minded them to be a little bit more aggressive, but but this way, the way that they're acting right here, they actually might be able to flip over someone on the fence who may have been inclined to go with Iger. The way they are going about it right now, being less aggressive than I perhaps would have wanted them to be. This way, they're going to be able to flip people on the fence.
Absolutely. So this is asked about the parks basically being competitive, which they are absolutely not at the moment.
How will you help the parks to stay competitive, but still allow average families to afford to visit?
Jay, you get started on that one.
Well, I think there's a careful balance between new, exciting new things around, beloved franchises, new franchises, but also the general upkeep of the property, and to make it feel like Walt used to say to the cast members, every day ought to feel like opening day here. I want somebody that arrives to feel like this is opening day, and it's all bright and shiny. So I think there's always that balance. But, when I was running the parks, we used to put together a plan that had a mix of those things I just described, and it had a price tag. We priced out each one, and we'd go to senior management and ultimately the board and say, this is what we need over the next 5 years. But that process, when they did their investor day, they threw out 60 billion, here's 60 billion. There wasn't any timing, there wasn't any products. No one gets excited by hearing we're going to spend 60 billion. People get excited by hearing we're going to have this new attraction, this new show, and we're going to, do this and that. And I feel like That's what drives the business. That's what drives the excitement. That's what creates the urgency for people to come and visit and have a great time.
I just stop with that. Bang on right though, isn't it? Just monetary. I mean, the monetary value is not even that high, in fairness, over across the years that they're doing it. It's pretty terrible. But they bang on the money in terms of there's nothing tangible there. We're just going to spend money. Okay, cool.
And they subtly insinuate throughout the entire time that there's a lot of vagary in what's been presented, and they're talking about specificity here. That's one of the things that Rosillo said. You get excited about a specific thing. We're bringing this thing. So,
yeah. I think this is that content one that you mentioned, Andre.
Okay, another question from one of your fellow shareholders. I'm a father of 2 young children. I find it.
Just stop it there.
That's the one. That's the one.
I'm just going to stop it there. We're going to play it in a minute. I just like how she said fellow shareholders, reiterating that they are actually shareholders.
Oh yeah,
because a lot of the people on the board barely have anything. So I like that. I do like that.
Increasingly hard to find content that we can all sit down and watch together. Will you restore the family content and timeless stories that made Disney famous?
Well, I don't think the shareholder is alone. I think when I was at the company, and for all the years back to 1928 before that, when people saw the Disney name on a movie, they never asked the question that the shareholder is asking. Can I take my family to this movie? And are they going to have a good time? And am I not going to have to go home and explain what was going on between those people and why, and so on and so forth? It was guaranteed great family content. Now I think people ask that question, and Bob Iger himself has said, I think we've moved too far away from entertainment into delivering messages. And I don't think that's what people want. I know lots and lots about Walt, what he said, what he did, because it was a real guiding principle. And he wanted people to escape their lives when they came into Disneyland. Do you know that from inside any Disney park, you cannot see any part of the outside world? And that is by design. There's actually something they call a sight cone. So you can, when you're saying here's the cone, nothing can be built within that cone that might be visible to guests when they're in the park. And that should be the same philosophy they use in their films, in animation, and live action. You come into the theater, you sit down, you leave all that stuff outside the door, and you just enjoy yourself for an hour and a half or 8 or 10 hours in a park. That's what the magic is about.
Got another.
That is never going to happen, though. Not with BlackRock. It's never going to happen, ever. I don't think so, anyway. So the last one I want to get to is the workplace culture being toxic, apparently.
Yeah. You
yeah.
got to be very careful how hard you push that pricing mechanism.
Next question. It's been widely reported that with all the firings and upheaval, Disney's workplace culture has become toxic to the point that it's affecting the well-being of employees. How do you propose to address that?
Well, I think we talked a little bit about a board-led review of the creative process and structure within the company. And from my experience at Disney, people feel disenfranchised when they're confused about who makes decisions, when they're confused about what the strategy is, and if it's any measure of what the people feel like inside the company, on the outside of the company, we can't understand the strategy at all. And I'm sure people inside the company feel the same way. So I think clarity and transparency goes a really long way, both inside and outside.
You know, the most important asset most companies have, Disney being no exception, is the employees. When you go to the park, you're interacting with people who have to have a smile on their face, people there to help you, to make sure your stay is a pleasant one.
I'll tell you, to put an exclamation point on what Nelson just said, in all my years of running parks, I never got one letter about how great an attraction was, how great a restaurant was. The only letters were about cast members and what Mary did for me, what Tom did for me, what happened when my child got sick, what happened when my child lost his.
Well, there you go. I think we'll sort of stop it there because it's going off not massively off the rails, but still.
Yeah.
Thoughts overall? I think that's great. I think they did a really good job of towing the line, I guess, just enough, walking a very fine line on being firm but very fair.
And just reiterating the fact that you go to their theme parks, you go to the movies, you go to their cruises, you go on there, you use Disney to escape from the real world. That's why the sight cone that he was talking about is very important. You realize they do balloon tests before they build any attraction. Like they put these balloons up in the air. They walk the entire thing. They take pictures from 1,000 different places to make sure you can't see what that is from this place in the park, because it's important not to break the illusion, not to bring the outside world. Yeah,
it's got to be immersive.
Yeah.
But they're like, nah, mate, Trump bad. What?
Well, they didn't even say that, did they?
No, but you know what I mean? Like that's Disney overall. That's their sort of outlook. That's their political, sort of leanings. I'd imagine if they could get away with it, they'd have a burning effigy of Donald Trump in the center of
probably, and also they would say that this isn't political. This is just being a good citizen of the world, because that's what Iger does whenever he's being hyper partisan. Then it's like, no, the positions of my party aren't political. That's just a correct position, and we're just taking the correct position.
No wrong think. I think this will really warm people up to them. I think, to be fair,
I agree with you 1,000%. So I just, like I said, I mean, when I was looking at this today, listening to what they were saying, and helping get things together for the show, I was like struck by just how different this is compared to what we heard on Tuesday from Iger. And I mean, it's night and day. It's night and day, because he has nothing but platitudes and projections of what could possibly happen in the future. These gentlemen are talking about, these are the actions we would take. This is the thing we need to restore. They're very specific. And specificity is something that's in short supply in the Disney company.
Yeah.
Andre?
Anything else to add? Anyone?
Best of luck to them. This is the hope for Disney right here. Is Trian right now? No one should be fighting them. All of Disney's shareholders really should be rooting for them every way that they can, because this is the hope for Disney.
Hopefully, got my fingers crossed. Got my fingers crossed. We've got a super chat from Hemorrhoid Hurts. So if you want to join in the conversation, guys, and support the show, super chats are the way to do it. Dropped in here with $2.99. Says, "Sweet Baby Inc. We call that stragedy in Australia." Good times. Good times. Bodhisattva has been a member for 13 months. Thank you so much. Says, obviously Disney does not care about money because the left is paying them under the table. I'm not even political, just stating facts.
True story.
True. I mean, it's pretty clear to see his day now, where there are many things, to be fair, become more and more apparent. So there you go.